ago. So that was amazing. That was, it might not have felt it, but that was amazing. You only heard about this 2 days ago. Okay. So it takes time. And like I was saying before, it would be much easier if you never touched a men's group of your life.
So we just there.
Yeah, if you hadn't had years of doing what you're doing, okay? Learning a completely new thing. But that's a good lesson, right? Because that's what we're trying to get the men to do.
Yeah.
That's why it takes 40 minutes to go to, can you see it as, she doesn't have to agree with you, right? If their whole life, she had to agree with them. Yeah. And everybody had to agree with them. Or kids have to agree, whatever it is, right? You didn't have your whole life. Not easy habit, okay, to change. So we're changing our habits and then our thinking and our whatever way of being. And we're all on the path together. And I'm back to my guinea pigs, which is that you're guinea pigs and they're also guinea pigs. But I just want you to give yourself permission for the next few weeks until we meet again in April to relax with that. Okay. We're not going to break the universe. I think I said this to somebody about not coming early, but we're not going to break the universe if everything you do in the next 2 months isn't perfect. Okay. But you do want to give it a go. Okay. You want to give it a go as much as you can, using the manual as much as you can, or whatever way it lands with you. Okay. In whatever sessions it seems most appropriate to you. Okay. So you can do it in your regular group, or you might have a couple of guys you're seeing separately. Just give yourself flexibility. Yeah. Maybe you got one guy and you see him for the next 5 weeks. Do it with him. Yeah. See if you can just do it with somebody. Okay. Ideally, by the time the main thing about by the time you come back in April is that you've definitely tried it. Okay. So you don't want to not have tried it and come back for like another sort of bunch of training in a way, because if you've tried it, you're going to be able to bring to the training what happened. So that's the second part, is try it. And after the session, if you have time, if not, the next day at the latest, you need a notebook and you need to write down what happened. Okay, that you remember. Especially, I mean, for me, whenever I take notes, the way it works in my brain is if I write what I remember I said or something close to it, I remember what they were saying. For me, what that does is it makes me remember what was happening. That's enough of a reminder for me to go, oh, this is what was going on then, and then all the thoughts and feelings I had about it, I've got there somewhere, right? So however you make notes, I don't know. But, and I don't know, everybody's got different things with recording and all sorts of stuff in their programs. Maybe you're all recording, maybe you're not. I don't know. You don't have to go there. But the main thing is that you process yourself or with your co-facilitator after sessions. And if not directly, you'll remember more directly after, but it's also tiring. Or the next day or whatever it is. Okay. So that's all. It's just for the next, until we meet again in April, is that you try the manual you have. And the manual you have, the structure of this whole thing in the end, okay, is going to be that there are 5 initial sessions, okay, and that's the ones the foundation sessions, that's the one you've got the manual on. The idea behind that is that you've got guys coming in at all sorts of different times, and we've got this thing going on right now where they keep waiting to join a group. Okay. The structure is that the guys who come in, you can do individual sessions with them. You can do it with a couple of guys if they came in the same week, and you go straight into the foundation sessions. Okay. So those individual meetings you would have had with them become these first 5 sessions, and they don't have to be in separate weeks. You could do 2, like 1 week and 2 another week and 1 the next week or whatever it is. They don't have to be 5 weeks. And once they've done those 5 sessions, you're also running a rolling program. So there's another 10 sessions that are going all the time. Okay. And they're going to cycle through their 2 weeks or 2 sessions for every 1 unit. Okay. So we're called 10 units. So there's 21 more weeks. Okay. That they can join. And that's just on a cycle of going round and around. So once a guy's done 5 sessions, they can join the rolling program. That way there's no delays, or as few delays as possible, okay? The other thing is that first 5 sessions, according to our data, is the most critical. We tend to be able to keep guys for at least 5 weeks, all right? And then there tends to be a drop-off. The actual data shows a drop-off of a half. It's quite high, okay? So you haven't even got them for the first phase, yeah? And the big broad data, okay, is showing that. So across all sites, across all time, across all whatever universe. So what we're doing in that first five sessions is well, let me back up here. So we're building a working relationship with them. Okay, this is our aim. We're establishing a value-focused experiential way of working. Okay, so what that means in maybe an ordinary language is that thing we were just talking about starting to see yourself differently. That's what you're trying to get to in that first 5 sessions, that it's possible for him to connect with the part of him that already does stuff in a caring and equal way, and that there's work to be done that will help him do that more. Okay, so that's kind of what you're doing in that first 5 sessions. So, and by doing that, you're sort of building this, you're giving them the sense that there's something to work on and it's worth working on. Yeah. So you bring out enough of the problematic behavior, but really get a sense that you're trying to provide an opportunity for them that he was not going to otherwise have. Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, that's what it means to say that we're going to try to find this person on the other side, the values, the who it is he wants to be and what's important to him. Okay. All right. Okay. So the way we do this in the first, so number 1 is about the right-hand side of the board. Okay. The session number 1 is about value-based actions, okay, and what it means to have values and how to think about values. And number 2, the emphasis is on what we do that takes us away from our values. So it's the things that we do that are harmful. You do not need a big, massive list of abusive behavior. If you get yelling and shouting and slamming doors, fine, you run with it, okay? You don't need a massive list. And then in session 3, you're focusing on thinking and how thinking takes somebody away from their values. In session 4, you're focusing on feelings, doing some of the stuff that you already do. You'll see some of that as familiar. And then session 5, you're focusing on effects. But when I say focus, you still have to do other bits. Okay, you still have to do other pieces of, because you can never do one thing on its own. You always have to be able to refer back to other pieces of it. So what's actually happened is that rather than doing all of this like now, where we've got the whole thing all in one go, what we've done is separate it out. So with the guys, you can focus on one aspect of this. So you're not going to worry about all the thinking and all the opposite behaviors and all the everything whenever you try to talk to them about values. Yeah. That way you're practicing it a bit. Yeah. You're getting a feel for what it's like just to have that part of the conversation. And that way they're being a guinea pig. Okay. As you experiment with how do you talk to somebody about values, or how do you talk to a group or whatever. Yeah.
Sorry. Just wanted to, I guess, mention something in yoga that we will be having a situation where we will still have the old Mac, the current Mac operating, and obviously we're now entering the new era, the new glorious era of the new Mac. And I guess because you said something about, okay, let's practice it, let's give it a go. And I think, from my understanding, it will vary from a Mac to Mac how each Mac projects might want to practice this. So I'm just wondering what's the best recommendation for everybody, because it will be different from Durham, it will be different from Sunderland, it will be different from Newcastle potentially. Because I'm just thinking practically, how would we want people to practice this whilst the old Mac is still operational, whilst the old Mac, assessment is still being.
It's going to be a direct question for us. I can't. I'm not seeing how that can be. So if you can explain that to us, Amanda, that we could, because we've got a group running at the minute, that's it, 5,
Yeah.
session 5 of the old programme. We have our assessment, which we do anyway, and then obviously the new system would be looking to do these 5 then, but we wouldn't have anything that put these 5 into, because that's not a rolling group. If we had new people.
It's not there yet.
So where can we do that? Where can we practice?
So, this is what I think that when I say you find the cases that you can do this with, okay? So it won't do any harm to do 5 sessions and have them then join your regular MAC. It won't do any harm. Just won't. Okay. So if your regular MAC is what is running and you've got some new guys coming in, I think you do it with new guys coming in. And you don't worry about the fact that you've got the other 5 sessions, that you've got the other stuff running. I think you let them join. Okay. And it's not going to do any harm, but it is, that's what I mean by guinea pigs. We are in a transition here. So it's not exactly, I don't know how else to do it. I don't really want you to wait and not have any cases until April, because then you won't get the same value out of April if you haven't tried it. But you'll only benefit those guys if you try doing this with them.
We can't take them anywhere after the 5 apart from work 1-1, and we're committing ourselves to then working 1-1, because we can't put them into a group. The group's 21 weeks away from concluding at the moment. We haven't got the capacity to start a second group.
But what would you do with new guys now?
We work with them 1-1, because we've now got the group running.
Until when?
Well, they would get a 1-to-1 programme, MAC 1-1 program.
Yeah, so you would.
The old.
Okay, so you've got new guys, and what you would, until you don't have another group starting, okay? So you would just keep working with them 1-to-1.
Okay.
Just keep working with them on 1-to-1 on this.
Keep doing that.
Well, there's how many weeks is it till April? You're only going to get those 5 sessions in if you do them 1 a week. Yeah, and that's even if you started next week. There's not a lot of time between now and April. Yeah, we've only basically got.
But as you said, this isn't going to be up and running properly until autumn with the amendments that needed done.
Okay, but in April, you're going to have another manual and you're going to be able to start the 21.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is the whole 26-week process going to be ready to run from then, or I thought it was going to be in the autumn?
Okay, we're the testers, okay? We're the testers, we're the experimenters, so all our experimentation is going to go into something hopefully close to final in the autumn. But I've got another manual for you in April to then go and do the 21 sessions. So whatever guys you do for the next 5 or 6 weeks, you're going to have then be able to take them to the rolling program. So you've kind of got 2 going at one time. If you've got a group already running, yeah, there's a sort of a little overlap thing going on. But does that make sense?
But I understand your concern. So he will do 1-to-1 sessions, these 5 sessions from now till April, and then April they will be trained on the longer part of the manual. Then are they going to be ready enough to do session 1 of the long manual right after, or they should give themselves a bit of time because there might be a bit of a gap?
That's not really concerned, so because that's our capacity.
Oh, you mean can you run a group?
I can say again, I don't need to talk about capacity, but I can say it's unlikely we're going to have capacity to run 2 groups at this moment in time.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to struggle.
All right, so you might not be able to run groups. You're going to be at a certain point. At what point are you going to be at with Old Mac?
April.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, our actual assessments of the guys we bring in take 4 to 6 weeks anyway, before we would look at doing these sessions.
But I mean, with the group you've got right now, when does that end?
So is it up on this 5? It's 3. Okay, 23, and how long to now in April? 7 weeks, maybe 8 weeks till we do the next training. So maybe they'll be around about 12, maybe.
There'll be 12 weeks left.
Yeah, no, about 40.
40 weeks left in the MAC, in the current MAC. Okay.
Something like you could test with, like could you drop this in? Obviously, I don't know exactly what it is, but could you drop this into MAC at some like the current MAC program and say, right, for a week or 2, we're going to look at this and this model. Does that work, or does that mess things up for MAC?
But it wouldn't be these sections because these men are already on the group and already, these is the prep, these 5 weeks are the prep before going into the 21 week.
But if they don't understand the system in this way, is it useful to like test on them, or I don't know whether that kind of impacts how that runs.
I don't want to monopolise this time for everybody here. For the-
All right,
maybe it's.
maybe what we have to do is do individual calls and see if we figure this out, you know, we'll get on Teams or something and we'll say, all right, how might this look? Because like you say, it's gonna look different for you than it does for you. With Durham, just so you know, we've got agreement in respect that we are going to try this on an online group with Durham, but only Durham. Okay, so again, that's all being tested. You know, we're trying to figure out, is it something Respect is going to approve across the board or not? If they did, what would the standards be? There's a whole bunch of questions with that.
That's that, but this is an approval just for a one.
It's just the one timer, yeah, for now. Yeah, okay. That's the deal with Durham. And they've got such a big area that they are having a hard time getting groups anyway, because of the size of the area and all that stuff. So we've agreed that with Durham and Newcastle. I guess we'll talk with you separately, how you think you'll transition.
Yeah.
So we'll figure out those transitions.
More difficult.
Yeah, you'll all,
Doesn't mean we can't sort it out. It's just.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I would, yeah, okay, yeah, I need to figure all that out separately. Okay, so, but this is what the sort of the 5 sessions look like. And then it goes into the 21 sessions or the 10 units that are based on the wheels. So they're based on the values that are in the equality wheel. Yeah, so, you know, like you're looking at respect, you're looking at trust and support, you're looking at honesty and accountability, we're looking at economic partnership, negotiation and fairness. Those are the things you're going to look at for 2 sessions, yeah, each time, yeah. And they tend to bring out different aspects of their behavior, okay? In each one of those, you know, right now you've got parenting at the end. In each one of those, we're going to build parenting into it. So that because they're nearly all dads. Yeah, there's so few of your groups and your participants that aren't dads. So we're just going to build parenting into the whole thing. And there is going to be, like on here, there's using children as one of the, and responsible parenting is a unit as well. So that's a unit on its own as well as building it in. Okay, so the plan was that we would do what we would call coaching sessions, yeah? And that means that we're going to create the same day of the week or every 2 weeks. I think probably every 2 weeks. We'll have a day and a time and we'll be there online. Well, you're all welcome to come in and bring any questions you have about what's happening as you try it out. So we can just decide what that day and time should be, or we can send out a doodle calendar to you all and say what's the best day and time for you, what's the time that really doesn't work. But that's another support aspect that we were thinking we would do. So that as soon as you start trying to do this, you know that in a couple of weeks, you're going to be able to get on a call and say, well, this is what's going on as I try it. Yeah. So how does that sound? That useful.
After we discussed when we were going to be able to implement.
Yeah, when you're going to implement, but maybe the first session is whether we divide it up and we talk with you, because if it's a 2-hour session and we take half an hour with each of you in that time to first figure out when you're going to implement it. And then after that, it can still be that time 2 weeks later, that time's available to what's happened. So we keep checking in on the transition, as it were. Does that make sense? Yeah. Is there a day or should we just try to work that out online about the best day and time? I'm thinking an Wednesday afternoon or something. I don't know. And we take a couple of hours and it's always available every 2 weeks to come in and talk about it. Yeah. It is tricky. It's a transition.
We can have that conversation after we've initially worked out how we're going to.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do. That we help.
The first thing is definitely how you're going to.
That's what we need to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I'm just saying the very first one of those can be is to figure out with each of you how it is that you're gonna transition. Yeah. Yeah. So it's, but I mean, the bottom line is after all this, maybe you go away and you think and you talk in your teams about all of this, about what it means and if it's worth it. Does it seem worth it? Does it seem like it's better? Does it seem it's going to be help better? Does it seem like it's going to help the men better? Because in the end, it really is up to you to decide that it's worth it. Yeah, and then that'll backtrack to make all the logistics to make it happen. So because we're testing, we're really open to all of that. Yeah, we're really open to all of that.
Well, can I just go back to what you were saying, Simon? Another thing that I think will need to be considered by each site individually is what the integrated support service might need to do more of differently.
Yeah.
Because that is a different program and we have a different structure. So, again, just throwing it out there that this needs to be considered by us, I guess, and I know it will be considered more by us as we transition as far as the future march.
So this is Gemma's role. Gemma is coordinating everything to do with the integrated support service, and how that transition is running parallel to this. The one thing I would say is that there's some things that you absolutely have to get figured out in terms of transition. And at the same time, we're going to be sort of a little bit okay with uncertainty and a little bit okay with every I and every T not being dotted and crossed. Yeah, because it's just not possible in the thing. And part of that is we're not, we're also going to end up with a manual in the women's support side. So there's going to be a manual that supports the advocates to support the women through the men doing this process. So that's all going to happen eventually. At the moment, I would say you're supporting the women, whatever you're doing is going to be fine. Okay. A little shift in what he does in the group, or, in the end, the people in the group are still always doing the same thing. They're trying to stop him being abusive and controlling. Yeah. Down the line, you're going to be able to tie the things together better. But at the moment, don't worry about it. You're going to be doing 98% of the things you're going to do anyway. Okay. So let's not worry too much about that. But because it just won't go far wrong. Yeah. It won't go far wrong. And part of the testing will be if you start hearing different things come back. That's all part of the testing. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any change to because I think what was really embraced in the MAC, and obviously in different areas than that we do with Harbour, they do like a DAPS program, which is Harbour based versus MAC. And I think what a lot of the practitioners loved about MAC was that initially the person doesn't have to go, yes, it was me, I did it, hands up. And so is there any change to that, or is there any sort of threshold before they progress to anything else around this?
Very good question. So it does speak to what the what did I do with it, Olga? Did I put it up here, or what did I do?
It was
The theory of change.
it was in the middle, right, of the slides.
In the middle of something. Where does it go? Okay,
Slide 12, I think.
so there
you go.
Yeah. So fundamental to the prior theory of change was the notion of readiness and eligibility. We are ditching it. So eligibility is you already know from the system and you know from her he's being abusive and controlling. You know there's a problem, okay? Our definition of readiness is will he come and will he sit and obey the rules? That's all he needs, okay? And he can do that until he can just keep doing that, okay? He can, because some guys, even in a mandated group, you can get them there, right? And they can be there for 4 months before they have what you were calling currently readiness. in MAC. Okay? Because that's just not how change works with them. And also they can seem ready on week 2, and then they're completely not ready again on week, 10, right? So like I said, the criteria is that we know that abuse and control is happening, and we know it from her, and we know it from the system. And the second is he willing to come and show up in the room and obey the rules, okay? And we've got really basic rules that are in your book that they have to follow. If he wants to sit there and listen for a lot of the time, we're going to let him sit and listen a lot of the time, okay? But what we're doing is we're shifting the onus back onto us to create a process that engages them, okay? That to create a process, that's why I was saying that the first 5 sessions, you want to get him to see that there's something to work on, and it might be worthwhile to work on it, to come back and work on it. So he would have to see that for him to come back. Yeah, just vaguely that there's something to work on, but ultimately some level of curiosity that gets him into the room. And what gets him into the room might be children's services, and that's okay. There's a mandate. That's who I've got. I've got none but mandate, right? They've all been forced in there by somebody. But it's my job to engage them and to engage them in that process and to get them from external motivation to internal motivation. That's my job. Okay. So does that help answer the question? Yeah. But we haven't written all that up into the materials. We haven't written that up into the data. We haven't written up into outcomes. We haven't written that up yet. But it's really key that in this method, we are basically saying that he could tell you everything 1 minute and he could tell you nothing. Yeah. Now, interestingly, in second, third session, you're saying, you're saying to him, okay, this is who I want to be. When you're not being that guy, what kind of things do you do? Technically, that's disclosure. Okay. But we're not putting all that weight into it. Yeah. We're not going, oh my God, we've got disclosure, right? Kind of thing. You kind of letting it slide in. Yeah. And you don't need it from everybody in the group. You just need a few of them to say it. And if you only got one guy, you just need him to say a couple of things. And I have never had a guy who I've asked that question to. So when you're not being that guy, what kind of things do you do? I've never had a guy who didn't answer it. Mm-hmm. It's just, so I'm not saying, what have you done that's abusive and controlling? If I say that, yeah, boom, you got a wall. Yeah. Right? And that's what you're trying to do now, right? You're trying to get admission. You're trying to get somebody to go, I'm abusive and controlling. Yeah.
And the way it's structured now is that obviously the phase 2 is like we use your examples, and some people aren't kind of able to admit or even talk about or describe those. So you're like, well, I can't progress you on to phase 2 because we'll have nothing to work with.
The
review
to say, are you suitable to move to phase 2?
And if they've got nothing to work with, you're going to be talking to somebody who's just taken it and that's it. They're not going to give you anything to use.
And so what's happening with that in the data is that, let's say you start with 6. Before you got to 10, you've got 3.
Right.
And once you do that assessment, you've got 1.5.
Right.
You lose another 50%. So you got 1.5 guys to come into phase 2. Okay. That's what's happening in the big data. Okay. We are losing them because we're gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're going to stop gatekeeping because what you've got are voluntary self-referral. We're starting to call it voluntary self-referral. Okay. And they're not early. There's nothing early about almost any of your cases. They're not early intervention.
Yeah.
So we're not going to keep calling it early intervention when that's not what it is. There's self-referral. So if you've self-referral, you have to have some serious work to do as a facilitator to get them motivated to stay in that. And if you gatekeep and you police and you do assessments that filter them out,
we're going to have nobody.
We have nobody. Yeah. And the numbers are showing it. It's a real struggle to keep them in. So we're keeping a door open. Yeah. And that's the purpose of the rolling program as well. You're keeping that door open. As open as possible, as wide as possible. You just have to be in the room and follow the rules. And then it's our job to try to draw you in, to see the problem, to work to change it.
When, and this is just to everyone, so I don't know who will know the answer. So for example, if it is on the program because Children's Services have said
go on the programme. Do you then have to feed back anything to children's services, or is it just that they attended?
We do. Well, we don't feedback as in like, you know, what's been said, because that's confidential. But we update the children's services, be like, yes, you've attended, or you didn't attend, this didn't, why you didn't attend, or we didn't have a reason. But like nothing confidential, what he shared, what he said.
They ask for like your insight into.
They do sometimes ask like, how is he doing, like things like that, but we're also very careful with our language. With Mark, I don't think we have like a report review, is it not?
No, we just.
Do you not? I
no.
mean, we do in Durham.
Right.
The rest of our harbour areas, we all write reports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Workers.
That's what. we
And
thought.
part of when we're going to the confidentiality thing with them,
Mhm.
make it very clear that
Yeah.
there will be a report written.
Would
for-
something like that be a MAC thing or a organisation thing?
I mean, it's a report.
I think you're into a whole
Organisation.
Pandora box there kind of thing, right? And because everybody's got different reporting, everybody's got a different relationship with children's services, everybody's doing different things. You're in a big organization, you're in a smaller organization, you're in a big organization too, but anyway, whatever. There's all sorts of different things. Yeah, right. You're smaller, yeah, but you're a contained part of that in that sense, yeah. So there's all sorts of things going on in relation to that. But for Mac has really clear words that it's giving you, right? With around the issue of eligibility.
Mm.
And it's written into all the forms. So when you write something into a form, you get a practitioner who goes, this is the form, right? This is the question. This is what I'm going to ask you. Yeah. So we're going to change those forms so it stops saying those things. Yeah. In the shift to the method. But that's something that we haven't written up yet. It's not all kind of sorted out yet, basically. The materials thing is going to happen between now and the summer, the whole change in the materials. But for now, for, people coming into MAC, that's what we're saying. Get whoever you can. Yeah. Get whoever, whatever, within all your own program, you've got a DAP over here and you've got whatever over here and you've got hub and spoke and you've got all the other things, right? So, you've still got people coming into MAC, yeah, for whatever reason. But we're definitely, especially once we get them, we're not going to keep doing that, try to filter them out. And I would say just quit doing that now. Like you're just losing people.
People who aren't suitable for groups, for specific reasons aren't suitable for groups. Can you run this as a
Yeah.
one-to-one?
Huh?
All of it, yeah.
Can you run it all as a one-to-one? For people
5
who aren't
weeks and
suitable
21.
to work.
Yes, it can always run as a one-to-one.
Do the 5, do the 21.
Yeah, you can do, you can always run one-to-one. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Will you also be creating I'm thinking of Olga in our data. So will it be a different sort of data capture
Different
to
outcomes.
do with that and outcomes and things like that? That will be.
And
separate.
actually, this
Yeah.
year has the outcomes on the bottom. But I didn't go into all this and won't do now because it's too late. And it's okay. You don't need it in order to keep doing what you're doing for the next 5 or 6 weeks. But the outcome is, has the harm stopped? Has the behavior stopped? Really clear. Okay, what he's doing has stopped. So we want to measure what is he doing at the beginning and what about that has changed. And the second thing is the permission to abuse is withdrawn, which is he stops thinking it's okay in his mind. So that's the attitudinal shift. Yeah. So we want to know if there's been a behavior shift, an attitudinal shift. That's the thing about the character. Is he becoming more of the guy on the left-hand side of the board? Yeah. And the last one is the behavior shift towards equality and care. So that's another shift. It's one thing to stop abusing. Yeah. It's another thing to start being caring, which is what you're going to pick up on the ISS, right? So do you know what I mean? Like we're not just going with I quit putting my hands on her, right? We're going to her feeling actually safe around him. Yeah. And him thinking it's important that you feel safe around me. Yeah. So that's the different guy walking into the room. That's what that third like comes. Okay. So yes, but all that's not written up on how you measure all that and what the tools are, the tools to measure it.
And unfortunately, if you start trying these sessions, keep collecting the data you're collecting with the review forms. I know it's not ideal because we're using forms suited for the
Yeah.
current program and not this one, but we haven't.
But obviously the whole point of it is to give it a try and see how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than
Then it's
yeah.
precious.
Yeah.
That we do get.
Mhm.
And the forms will change. We're hoping to make them more survivor centers, so there's
Mhm.
probably gonna be more things collected from the survivors to know whether the change has changed and
Mhm.
less self-reported by perpetrators.
Yeah.
But there's also a big piece on respect on, building a data toolkit and kind of standardizing a little bit more how outcomes are collected across perpetrator services. So hopefully it's gonna align that other project when the new forms for this manual come. So yeah, I guess a bit of patience, unfortunately.
I mean, the way we could have done this, for example, was that we could have just written it ourselves, okay, and come up with a training, and then just landed you with it, okay, and said, okay, here's the new thing, give it to you in autumn and go right, and then had you work towards that in autumn, you're going to start the new Mac and you're going to do whatever, right? We could have done it like that, but I didn't want to do it like that. I feel like your expertise here is really important, and your practice in the field and your knowing already what you're doing. Okay. To me, that I couldn't do it without that. I could, but I didn't want to. So it's technically possible for you to go, we're not involved in the MAC test. You know what I mean? It's technically possible to go, right, just we'll wait to autumn and we'll wait to see what you give us. But we're really relying on your goodwill to be part of the testing. Yeah, to be part of, have an input into what this ends up looking like and what this is going to be. So, but yeah, as your team, you got to figure out like what that means for you. Yeah, practically what that means. And I don't know if it means that you've got a little, from now until the fall, you have a little parallel thing running, with the new stuff, or whether you try to integrate it now into your main whatever strand, I don't know, because you need to figure that out in your, but do you get do you get the picture of what's going on here, what it means to be testing?
Yeah.
Because it's possible to, like I said, to not be part of the whole development, right? It's the development of it. And then so if we're in the lab, right? If we're in the lab and we're being tested and we're doing the testing, then testing is what it is. It's nothing's completely figured out yet. Yeah, we figure out as much as we can, but it all hasn't been figured out, because if it had been figured out, we wouldn't be testing, right? So, it wouldn't be development. It would be, here you are, go with it. Yeah. Once we got that version in the fall, then we've got master's students from Durham who are going to evaluate it. So there's a different test going on there, but we were hoping that you would have a good head start. Because I think having master's students study people do something for the very first time is a pretty tall order, right? So so ideally we would have master's students study people who've been running it for a few months. I think they don't start in January or something next year, but whatever. So yeah. And then you see, the other thing about the timeline is it's all within a 3-year grant. Okay, that's what makes this timeline. Ultimately, it takes this length of time to get us together. You know yourselves, the grant thing. So it's also not really being decided by us as such. All right, shall we wrap up?
Shall I?
Oh, you've got one with something to say, and then we'll wrap up.
Do you want to wrap up first?
Well, my wrap up was going to be just your final thought as you move away, final thought from the 3 days. And what, it can be a worry, it can be excitement, it can be anything. What's your parting thing to segue back out into the world?
I think it's definitely not a very different way of working with the men. But I think it would be quite beneficial. And again, something me and Emma spoke about yesterday. Feel a bit anxious, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know about everybody else, because I feel like there might be a few parts where I feel more confident, and then some parts where I'm like, oh, I wouldn't know where to go with that. It's kind of like without like having probably, done that for quite a while. I think that the first few times would be quite like, oh, I'm not sure about this one, I'm not sure about that. But overall, I think it's going to be quite a good practice, and thinking how we can do that, like in Newcastle area, for instance, like, because we already have a group ongoing currently on phase 1, but I think we are thinking of starting another phase 1 at some point, whether that's going to be in March or April. So I think then we can speak up with Sarah and yourself and see if we can incorporate that with the new clients and kind of like see how, continue with the group already have on the old MAC, but also like in the meantime doing the new one and see how that works and where we are in different aspects of but yeah, I think it's going to be difficult but quite interesting.
I love it. I really like it. Really like it. Like kind of just a bit of anxiety about being able to play it out. And I was just saying to Simon and stuff, I don't know whether it's my tired brain, my menopausal brain, losing this track of where I am and stuff, because I'm kind of sometimes I'm losing where I'm going with some of the questions. So I think that just comes with practice, doesn't it? Confidence and stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, and I think for me, it really kind of sharpened up me as a facilitator in terms of what questions I'm asking, where I'm going with stuff like that, which is good. It's really good. So what you're saying is worth it. You get lots of benefit from what you're asking and information, which ultimately benefits the person you went with. So yeah.
Leslie?
I think it's going to be challenging. I also feel incredibly lucky out of everybody here because I'm going to be delivering it first with you, so you'll be able to keep me in line.
Well, I'm fortunate to be able to do it with you too, so it's mutual.
I get it. I think it's good, but for me, it's probably similar to a lot of people, and the repetition through that, to keep going through that stuff, and then that will lead on to more in-depth questioning and getting that right. So, yeah, I think it's good. It just needs practice.
Very good.
And I think the fact we can start it with having one-to-one clients gives us a good chance to not look like a complete arse. Do you know what I mean? And to do it in groups, so you get a chance to kind of get your head around it, one-to-one and individual, and then
Yeah. Be easy on yourself, give yourself permission to do that. Yeah.
So probably one of the few times we're having experience being at it for a long time, as I have, is not necessarily a great thing, because I really like a lot of stuff I've done here, and it is just a case of unlearning.
Yeah.
But that's more to do with delivery and to do with, but also principles behind, after being absolutely seeped in. There is CBT, there is your thoughts come first. Yeah, we will defend that to death. You don't just have these emotions, just little things like that. Even some of the motivational interviewing principles, to have it rammed in every bit of training I've ever had, right from the beginning, 12 years ago, starting with it, to challenge that. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think actually it's a good thing, because doing the same thing over and over again should only be the right thing to do if there's a reason to do it. And if there's not a reason to do it, and there's other things we should be doing other things. So yeah, it's just going to be I see it's a challenge, but challenge I'm up for. Yeah. So
If it helps, think of it as adding, because it ACT has CBT in it. And then it's adding, so there's a change, the belief that you're already doing.
Yeah, but I think when you mentioned things like the cycle of change, I mean, these are Bibles to us in a lot of what we do. The Francesca Di Clemente, when you were saying, forget about that cycle of change.
What do you mean the cycle of change?
Well, the cycle of change, where people are and they're prepared and their ability to be able to.
Oh, the stages of change. Yeah. Yes. Right. Yeah. Bible.
Underpin all the principles. Even when we talked in that little bit about affirmations and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is what you do. This is every bit of training, every bit of thing in any of that.
Yeah.
So all of our practice is based around that. Pure CBT. It's so I'm not saying it can't be done. Of course it can be done. I think it's just a bit harder for the fossils. Well, I'm probably the only fossil doing doing that, but that's how I felt a little bit at times.
Being fossilised in 2004.
Well,
you know.
massive.
Yeah,
So,
there we go.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm,
I can see a lot of great things in this stuff.
okay, good.
I think it's very interesting. I get it, and I get what the men are going to get out of it. I think unlike Simon, I don't have to kind of.
That's right.
This is a blank canvas. Kind of, I'll just.
Very good.
Not only that, where Nicola comes in with the way you come in with it, Nicola was ISS.
You've got the survivor standpoint,
And
yeah.
now it's come over to the dark side and it's brings all that. And that just trumps to me, trumps those difficulties and actually puts you in a really strong position.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting.
That's similar for you as well.
Yeah.
You just started facilitating group, so hoping that I could just transition. And what I like about it as well is that there's a lot of people involved and putting part, why questions. Gives you a lot of scope to do that.
Very good. Yeah. Okay, any other thoughts from
Liz has.
Okay, online.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what Amanda was saying there when you're talking about the, some of the what you see as kind of the fossil stuff. I'm a fossil as well, so I've had a massive transformation in the last, oh God, how long? It's quite a few months now, isn't it? But over that period of time. But for me, it's more light bulbs switching on. I don't think I've switched off any old light bulbs. I've just added more on as I've got to understand this process, and I've had a lot longer than you lot have to get my head around it. So you will be using motivational interview. You will be asking questions that are motivating men to think about what they want to do, and it's still a process of change. It's just not the only stuff really to put aside is the official, the stages of change, the cycle of change. Leave that aside because it doesn't work for this cohort of men. I used to think it did, but then I used to push aside the stuff that didn't make sense from it and think, I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about bits that do. But we can leave that aside. But that's not the same as motivational interviewing. Motivational interviewing is something that's useful when you're doing stages of change and cycle of change, but it's useful for a whole load of other stuff as well. If you're working relationally with someone, as you will be, then you are doing questions in a way, you're framing them that help to motivate them to think about the positives rather than damning them for the negatives. And that's exactly what this is about. So it is layering stuff on, and it is about, which is why I said, in one of the other sessions about, I spotted something that was very much about solution focused brief therapy. So I spot all sorts of things that I use when I do coaching, which is about moving people to a positive place rather than necessarily holding them where they're stuck or helping them identify what they're stuck on. So it's all of those things. It's adding on and putting more light bulbs on. So I don't think, if you think about the iceberg, the iceberg is that you use in Mac. It's the stuff that's going on above and it's the stuff that's going on below. Look at the board. It's the stuff that's going on above. It's the stuff that's going on below. But you're just getting into more layers of what's going on below and recognizing there's a choice between bringing out the best in yourself and bringing out the worst in yourself. And which choice do you want to make? Which guy do you want to be? But it's not brand new stuff. It's just adding on something to look at it in a brand new way. Yeah. So don't throw out all the stuff you're really good at. Please don't, because if you're asking motivational questions, keep asking motivational questions just within this method.
Yeah. Rahila, did you have something? We're going to get kicked out of this building in like 5 minutes.
I'll be very quick then. The method feels really quite clear, so it's brand new to me. And I think it's one of the things that I'm holding on to when over the last 3 days is following the process. It's almost like trusting, so as a facilitator, trusting yourself through that process and following that process. with this very kind of clear methodology. So for me, lots of kind of food for thought over the last sort of few days in terms of how this meets the needs and making it kind of inclusive and representative of marginalised and minoritized communities. I've already started to talk to Kay in terms of inclusivity very briefly whilst grabbing her on today, yes, and on Wednesday, in terms of, you know, how we can maybe work together in terms of, you know, that inclusivity and what that framework and around oppressed groups needs to look like. Is it something that's, you know, kind of I've been thinking about, that method can be used for any man? What is it that we need as facilitators in order to kind of get the best out of that methodology and that process to make it inclusive? So yeah, like kind of lots of foods for thought.
Yeah, that's all part of what we have to keep on, part of the development for sure. Absolutely. All right, thank you again. We would like you to have that table clear. So if you want to take biscuits, drinks.
Can I say my piece still?
Oh, sorry, okay, sorry, I keep getting about that. Okay, go on ahead. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that you'd take the stuff in that corner, otherwise we have to throw it out.
Yeah. Okay, so just a quick thank you for not losing any passes. I think.
Oui.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So there were 7.
Yeah.
Oh, only one this morning from the additional 7.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. Thank you for this. So just like Amanda said, please take